Hi everyone, Martina here with 3 cards using the April 2019 hip kits. I'm starting with a card based on a Pocket Life card which are exclusive by the Hip Kit Club. And I'm just folding one of the bigger Pocket Life cards into half, and that's my card base. I am cutting some of these sunburst strips from the Page Evans paper, and I'm looking for colors that coordinate well with my Pocket Life card. I'm punching some hearts out of these stripes with a punch which is actually since a long time in my stash. And I'm folding the hearts into halves using a bone folder just to make sure that they are pretty well folded. I'd like to create a little fan with these hearts, so I'm just gluing down the hearts on their bows. So I'm not gluing the whole surface down, I'm just gluing down a little piece. I hope you can see that pretty well. Once all of these hearts are glued together, it should open like a fan. And how could it be with these papers? It's a rainbow fan, a heart rainbow fan. Before I glue that one down, I'll set it aside to dry completely and to just decorate the cover of my card. I'm having a hard time to choose something for the cover, which is just a nice little message, maybe for Mother's Day or something like that. And I'm just browsing my stash and trying to combine stuff. And I found some stickers and this pretty layered embellishment, which is a Dear Lizzie one. And I'm adding a little bit of thread under the layered embellishment, and I'm gluing it down onto a cardstock sticker and gluing this on the card. I'm gluing down my interactive element so it will create this hard rainbow when you're opening the card. To add some finishing touches, I'm gluing down some heart stickers onto the cover of my card, and I'm done with card number 1. To create card number 2, I'm using a white cardstock stripe, which is actually no more 12 inches long and 5.5 inches high. And I'm scoring the paper by 3, 4.25 and 3 inches again. And I'm just cutting off the excess paper. I'd like to create another interactive card, so I'd like to have these flaps on the front of my card, which I'm creating now. Again, I'm using my bone folder to make sure that everything is just pressed down well. I'd like to cover the fronts and the insides of my card with some of the gorgeous Page Evans papers which came with the April kits. And I'm just going through the papers and starting to cut the papers down. I think I've cut the papers just half of an inch smaller than the actual measures of the parts I'm covering with the papers. Since this is a pretty long and maybe boring process for you, I'll just speed the process up. As you can see, I'm not covering the inner left part of the card. That's because I'd like to make a closure for my card with a brad. The brads are from, I think, February or March hip kits, and I'm just looking for a brad that matches well to the papers, and I'm taking some thread which will be the actual closure of the card, and I'm knotting the thread onto the brad before I'm pushing it through the hole I've punched. I flatten out the legs of the brad, and then it's time to cover up the last flap, just to make sure that it's got a nice finish. After that's been done, I am testing the closure for a first time, and then it's time to get out all of the gorgeous embellishment of the April hip kits and to start creating my cover of the card. For my third card, I've got a 6x6 inch card base, which I'd like to cover with this blue basil cardstock from the April 19 kits. And I'm just cutting the paper again a tiny bit smaller than the card base, so you can see just a little white frame around the blue. I'm planning to hand stitch a frame around the paper, and I'm just looking for some of these 2x2 papers from Paige Evans, which could match to the idea I've got now. I'm taking a ruler and a punching tool to make some accurate and regular holes into my paper, which I can just stitch later. It was a pretty long process and totally not worth the effort, because I took the paper off camera and stitched the whole thing, and it ended up so bulky and quirky, as you can see now, that I just throwed it away and cut down another piece of cardstock and have sewn around it with my machine. I am totally in love with grid design since the Horizon collection, actually, and I'm thinking about using 2x2 papers from the paper pad and some papers, and I'm just trying to arrange everything and cutting down a piece of pattern paper to create a second layer of my card base. I totally forgot that the stitching on the blue paper is actually taking some room on the paper too, so I had to recut the pattern paper a bit that everything matches well. I'm gluing down my cardstock onto my card base, and I'm taking some foam, play foam, I think you call it, and cut it to a tiny bit smaller than the size of the pattern paper, and just glue it to the pattern paper and then onto the card to add some dimension to the card. I like to make a big travel themed cluster because, again, Mother's Day vouchers, and I think nobody's got it more deserved to get a voucher for a little getaway or a coffee than mothers. And I just think these ephemera pieces match this theme super well, and I'm just adding as much of them as I can. I've also been thinking about adding a tag just on the real back of my cluster to get something, again, interactive, which you could just push out with another message on it. But I glued down everything because I forgot my tag, and it was the first thing I just stuck down. So it's not interactive, but there's stitching on it, and I think it's a nice voucher card for something like Mother's Day. Even though the Chimel animal stickers already got a beautiful sparkle, I was looking for something other or more sparkly, and I grabbed the Tiffany Lou Blue Starburst spray, which we got in the last Hip Kit color kit, and just added some splatters to my card. And I think that's the point where I just like the card and the result, and I think I'm done with my cards. I hope you liked the video. I hope you liked my ideas, and I really hope you are inspired to create your own cards. I will add some detail shots to the end of the video and wish you a wonderful day. See you next time. Bye.